Title: Quiet Cries. Part 1: Small Breaths in a Tedious Daily Life. Narration: In 2007, in an apartment near Seoul, Minsu and Jiyeon began their married life. The house was worth 200 million won at that time, with help from Jiyeon's parents. Now, after 16 years, they are living as a dual-income couple with their middle school daughter Jiyeon. The busy kitchen in the morning. Jiyeon prepares breakfast and wakes up Minsu and Jiwon. Although her face is full of fatigue, she still strives to not lose her smile for the family.
Jiwon, get ready for school after breakfast. Minsu, make sure you're not late for work today.
Minsu quit his job and is preparing for a new one, while Jiyeon started working outside the home. Despite working during her pregnancy, her efforts kept the family finances stable. However, the relationship with her in-laws was always a source of great stress. Jiyeon at work. She works diligently in the office, but the tiredness in her eyes is evident. Her colleagues praise her hard work, but no one truly understands the weariness deep in her heart. Jiyeon received help from her mother-in-law, but there were many nights spent working late. While she built trust with many clients, her in-laws' constant nagging weighed heavily on her. Criticism about not saving enough money, along with comments like, "Working from home is enough while taking care of the child," never ceased. Family gathering at the in-laws' house. Jiyeon listens to her mother-in-law's stories with an awkward smile. Her mother-in-law criticizes her clothes and lifestyle, emphasizing the simplicity of the past.
Jiyeon, isn't your outfit too flashy? In the past, we lived modestly. But nowadays, young people.
Her father-in-law repeatedly made remarks ignoring Jiyeon, saying she resembled his deceased sister whenever he saw Jiwon. Criticism from her in-laws continued at every family gathering, leading to frequent arguments between Jiyeon and Minsu. While Minsu expressed his apologies to his wife, Jiyeon's heart was not easily swayed. Jiyeon and Minsu return home. Jiyeon shares her day at her in-laws' house with tears in her eyes. Minsu looks at her with sympathy and holds her hand.
Jiyeon, are you okay? Let's avoid visiting the in-laws from now on. Do what you want.
Jiyeon felt like her in-laws' nagging was denying their hardships, and anger brewed within her. She felt the need to sort out her relationship with her in-laws. Both Minsu and Jiyeon were doing their best in their respective roles, reminding each other that their efforts were not in vain, enduring tough times together. At night, Jiyeon lies in bed staring at the ceiling. Various emotions swirl within her, but the determination to fight for her family's happiness is strong. Jiyeon was disappointed by her in-laws' indifference to the difficulties of a dual-income family. But now she hoped their nagging would no longer affect her life. She was doing her best for her family's happiness. Tomorrow, and the day after that.
Coming up next, a story explanation.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a close look at something many people experience: the complexities of modern family life.
That's right. We'll be exploring the pressures, especially on working parents and, those tricky in-law relationships. We're doing this through one family's specific story.
Yeah, we have this narrative about a couple, Minsu and Jiyeon. And for today's deep dive, we're really just focusing on the very first part.
The first chapter, titled A Silent Scream. Our goal is basically to unpack what it tells us about their challenges, their emotional world, based only on this section.
Okay, so let's set the scene a bit. The story kicks off back in 2007. Minsu and Jiyeon, newly married, get an apartment near Seoul.
And we learn Minsu's parents helped with the purchase 200 million won. That's an important detail early on.
Definitely. Now, fast forward 16 years, they're both working, and they have a daughter, Jiyeon, who's in middle school.
The narrative notes that, while their assets have grown over time, the journey itself has been, pretty challenging.
And you feel that challenge almost immediately, don't you?
Yeah.
In how their daily life is described in this first part.
Absolutely. It paints a picture of a really busy morning. Jiyeon's making breakfast, waking up Minsu, waking up Jiyeon.
And there's this detail. Her face shows she's tired, but she's trying to put on a smile for them. kind of signals the effort involved right away.
It really does. And the story gives us some background for this effort. It mentions a time Min-soo had actually quit his job. He was preparing for something new.
Oh, right. So Jiyeon became the sole breadwinner for a while.
Exactly. And significantly, she kept working right through that period, even during her pregnancy. That dedication, the narrative suggests, was crucial for stabilizing their finances then.
So you see this foundation they've built. It involved real sacrifice, especially from Jiyeon. But then the focus shifts, doesn't it, to what seems like the biggest source of stress here.
The relationship with Min-soo's parents. From Jiyeon's perspective, as presented in this section, it really comes across as a heavy burden. Well, we see her working hard, really concentrating at the office, putting in late nights to build trust with clients, sometimes needing her own mom to help with childcare.
Okay, so she's putting in all this effort.
And then you contrast that with the interactions with the in-laws. The story uses the term constant nagging. It's not just advice, it's something that weighs on her mind constantly.
Are there specific examples given?
Yeah, quite pointed ones, like the comment, "Fujinoso," which basically translates to, working from home is something you can easily do while watching the child.
Wow. That kind of comment, it really underestimates the reality of juggling work and childcare, doesn't it?
Yep.
Especially modern remote work.
Completely. It points to maybe a generational gap in understanding or just a lack of appreciation for how demanding that balance is for a working mother.
And was it just about work?
No, they were also apparently criticized about not saving enough money, so financial pressure too.
So family gatherings must have been awkward.
The narrative paints them that way, yeah. Awkward smiles and this constant critical vibe, especially from the mother-in-law. She'd critique Jiyeon's clothes, often comparing things to how frugal she used to be.
That sounds exhausting. Like a constant judgment.
And then there's a specific comment from the father-in-law. Apparently, whenever he saw their daughter, Jiyeon, he'd repeatedly say she looked like his deceased sister.
Okay. And how did Jiyeon take that?
Well, the story suggests Jiyeon interpreted it as dismissive, as if her role, her contribution as Jiyeon's mother was being kind of erased or ignored in favor of this other family resemblance.
I can see how that would feel hurtful, yeah. Like an invalidation.
Exactly. And the key thing is, the narrative stresses this wasn't just once or twice. It says these criticisms happened at every family gathering.
Every single one. Okay, that makes it a pattern. A predictable source of stress.
Which naturally leads to consequences. The story says these interactions led to more arguments between Jiyeon and Min-soo themselves.
So the external stress was bleeding into their marriage. How did Min-soo handle it, according to this part?
Well, it says he'd tell Jiyeon he was sorry. He suggested maybe they should just avoid visiting his parents, telling her basically to do whatever she felt was best.
So supportive in one way, but maybe avoiding the actual conflict.
Perhaps. It seems like his approach was more about managing Jiyeon's distress than addressing the root cause with his parents. And for Jiyeon, well, she felt all this nagging just negated everything they'd worked for.
All their effort, their hardships, just dismissed.
Right. And that feeling led to anger and this growing sense that she needed to somehow organize the relationship with the in-laws, put some boundaries in place maybe.
A need for control, it sounds like. But did they find any way to cope together?
There is a mention of that. They apparently had this way of reminding each other that all their hard work wasn't for nothing, that they got through tough times together. It's like they were validating their own shared experience against the criticism.
That's something, at least. A small anchor. So how does this first part leave Jiyeon internally?
It describes her lying in bed at night, thinking. There's a mix of emotions, definitely, but also this strong will, a determination to fight for her family's happiness.
But there's disappointment there, too.
Oh, clearly. Disappointment that her in-laws just don't seem to get it. Especially the challenges of being a working mother, her lived reality, it feels unacknowledged.
Yet despite that, she's resolved.
Yes. The section ends on this note of hope and determination. She wishes the nagging wouldn't affect her anymore, and she resolves to just keep doing her best day by day for her family. It's a quiet internal resolve.
So if we just look at a silent screen, this first chapter, the core conflict is really the heavy emotional toll this relationship with the in-laws is taking on Jiyeon.
Absolutely. It's happening despite all her hard work, despite the progress the family has made financially, and it's creating real tension within her marriage and inside herself.
It's a situation, I think.
Yeah.
Well, maybe some aspects of it will feel familiar to listeners. Merging families, dealing with different expectations, that quiet strain. It can be really tough.
Definitely a common yet deeply personal struggle. And importantly, This is just the start of their story as we have it.
Right. This isn't the whole picture. The narrative continues into a next section called Different Times, or in Korean, Uetli.
So, having seen all this strain in part 1, the impact on Jiyeon, the tension in the marriage, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are they actually going to do about it?
What steps might they take next? How are they going to navigate this path forward in different times, especially with Jiyeon's resolve, but these ongoing pressures?
It's a big question. How might things change? Or will they? That's really what we'll be digging into in the next part of this deep dive.
We hope you'll join us for that, to see how Min-soo and Jiyeon's story continues to unfold.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us keep making great content.